Before Novak Djokovic steps onto the court for a match, he methodically prepares his lower body to a sequence of movements designed not only to warm up muscles, but also to activate, prime, and integrate the kinetic chain in a way that supports explosive, stable, and injury-resilient play. This preparation is far more than casual stretching. It is a finely tuned process that readies the hips, knees, ankles, glutes, and surrounding musculature to deliver on the demands of high-level tennis. At its core, this lower body prep enhances circulation and raises tissue temperature. Cold, stiff muscles are less elastic and efficient. By gradually increasing blood flow, Djokovic ensures that the contractile proteins and connective tissues, tendons, fascial sheaths, joint capsules become more pliable and responsive. That warms not only the superficial muscles like the quadriceps and calves, but also deeper stabilizers around the hips and adductors. When those structures are heated, they better distribute load and deformation under stress, reducing shear forces at joint interfaces. But warming is merely the first step. The movements he employs challenge mobility and neuromuscular coordination in concert. Because tennis demands rapid, multi-directional changes and lunging from awkward angles, his lower body routine must replicate and anticipate those exact demands. As he moves through leg swings, side lunges, backward reaching strides, or other dynamic motions, which have been observed in his warm-up sequences, each repetition forces the hip complex, quadriceps, hamstrings, adductors, and glutes to oscillate between lengthened and shortened states in a controlled, rhythmical way. That trains the nervous system to recruit motor units more rapidly and in patterns that mimic match play. This dynamic activation is vital for the coordination of prime movers with stabilizers. For example, when he steps laterally, the gluteus medius and minimus must fire almost preemptively to prevent hip drop, while hamstrings and adductors lengthen or shorten in synchrony. That coupling between stability and mobility ensures that the more powerful muscles, quads, glutes, can deliver force without destabilizing joints. Without that priming, sudden acceleration or deceleration might lead to misalignment or micro tears. Another deeper purpose lies in neural potentiation. Through rhythmic dynamic motions, proprioceptors, muscle spindles, Golgi tendon organs are sensitized, meaning the muscular system becomes more responsive to rapid changes. In essence, the brain-spinal pathways are woken up so that reflex arcs and anticipatory stabilization become sharper. This primes the lower limbs to respond immediately to perturbations. For instance, if Djokovic plants and twists unexpectedly to hit a ground stroke, his joints already have an elevated readiness to handle that load. Moreover, the mobility component addresses flexibility constraints in hip flexors, hamstrings, adductors, and calves, particularly in extremes of motion. Because tennis demands deep knee flexion, extreme reaches, and rotational torques, these muscles need to move across full ranges without inhibiting motion or creating passive resistance. The sequence of dynamic stretches in his lower body warm-up gradually expands those ranges, loosening tight zones while simultaneously maintaining active control. That is, not letting the stretches drift into passive yielding, but retaining active engagement through the movement. When Novak Djokovic uses stair jumps as part of his lower body warm-up, he is doing more than simply bouncing up and down. He is orchestrating a complex interplay of physiology, neuromuscular conditioning, and movement readiness that directly transfers to the demands of elite tennis. In performing controlled, powerful upward accelerations and decelerations on stairs, he targets his calves, quads, hamstrings, glutes, hip flexors, and stabilizing musculature, all in the context of stretching, loading, and reloading, preparing the legs to operate under the rapid, multi-directional stress of a match. In a stair jump, the athlete forcefully pushes off a lower step and lands on a higher one, or sometimes jumps downward from a step and rebounds upward, imposing cycles of eccentric and concentric contraction on the limb muscles and tendons. These cycles stimulate what are often called stretch-shortening reflexes. The muscles and tendons are momentarily stretched, eccentric phase, before immediately contracting, concentric phase. This reflexive loop enhances the elastic recoil properties of tendinous tissue, as well as heightening the readiness of muscle spindles and neural circuits to respond explosively. Because tennis constantly demands sudden accelerations, jumps, lunges, and changes of direction, Djokovic primes his legs via these stair jumps so that the muscles and connective tissues behave like finely tuned springs, able to compress, absorb pressure, and rebound almost instantly. Beyond mere elasticity, stair jumps encourage rapid transitions between force absorption and force output. When landing, each joint, from ankle to knee to hip, must decelerate downward momentum under control, absorbing energy, stabilizing the body, and protecting vulnerable joints like the knees and ankles. Immediately thereafter, the body must reconvert that stored energy and push off explosively. This ability to switch seamlessly and energetically between loading and propulsion maps directly to the micro moments in tennis, such as pushing off after reaching for a wide ball or recovering quickly after a volley foot adjustment. Performing stair jumps also engages deep stability mechanisms. The hips, glutes, and core must coordinate with the lower limbs to maintain alignment, prevent collapse, and control rotation during the rapid load cycles.